Hello, and welcome to the Canada Council for the Arts 2026 Annual Public Meeting. My name is Aubrey Moriarty, Corporate Secretary for the Canada Council. It's my pleasure to be your host for today's event. This meeting will take place in both official languages. Bonjour et bienvenue à l'Assemblée publique annuelle du Conseil des Arts de 2026. Je m'appelle Aubrey Moriarty, secrétaire du Conseil d'administration. J'ai le plaisir d'agir à titre d'animatrice pour cette assemblée publique. Cette assemblée se déroulera dans les deux langues officielles. A few housekeeping matters to get everyone set up. For those of you online, here is how you can change the language. If you're on a desktop, click on the language button on the sidebar to the left. If you're on a mobile device, click the three-line menu. For those of you in the room, there are headsets available for simultaneous interpretation. We have American Sign Language and Langue des Signes Québécoise available today. And to access this, you can click on the link at the bottom left of the screen. If at any point you're having technical difficulties, click on the button at the bottom of your screen. Quelques points pratiques pour bien commencer. Pour celles et ceux qui sont en ligne, voici comment changer la langue. Si vous êtes sur un ordinateur, cliquez sur le bouton de langue dans la barre latérale à gauche. Si vous êtes sur un appareil mobile, cliquez sur le menu à 3 lignes. Pour les personnes qui sont sur place, nous avons des écouteurs disponibles pour que vous ayez accès à la traduction simultanée. La langue des signes québécoise et American Sign Language sont disponibles aujourd'hui. Pour y accéder, vous pouvez cliquer sur le lien en bas à la gauche de l'écran. Si vous rencontrez des difficultés techniques, cliquez sur le bouton au bas de votre écran. I would now like to invite Elizabeth Logue to the stage for the territorial welcome. Elizabeth is the director of the Creating, Knowing, and Sharing the Arts and Cultures of First Nations and Inuit and Métis People program.
Kwe kakina. Nidus Mikas Elizabeth Logue. Nadunjaba Kidigan Anishinaabeg First Nation. Nadunjaba Wakefield Tanagadino Zibi. Makwadin Dodim. Hello, bonjour, kwe everyone. My name is Elizabeth Logue. I'm a member of Kidigan-Zibi Anishinaabeg First Nation, and I am of mixed Algonquin Irish descent, and I am Bear Clan. I'd like to begin by thanking Monique Manach, a knowledge carrier and a member of the Algonquins of Barrier Lake, who lit sage and smudged the meeting space earlier this afternoon. Kichimigwech to Monique for helping us start this meeting in a good way. En tant qu'Algonquine de ce territoire, je suis honorée de prononcer l'accueil sur le territoire aujourd'hui. I welcome you to the unceded, unsurrendered territory of the Algonquin Anishinaabe. You are welcome here. Vous êtes bienvenus ici. We are meeting here in this building, this physical space at 150 Elgin Street in Ottawa, but we're also connecting with so many residing on treaty territories and other nations, communities, and regions across the land. This territory we are on is surrounded by water on all sides. The Kitchissippi, the Ottawa River, the Tanagadino-Zibi, the Gatineau River, and the Rideau River, the Paspagédu-Nowang-Zibi. Le Conseil reconnaît que les Algonquins sont les gardiens et les défenseurs traditionnels du bassin hydrographique de la rivière de l'Outaouais et ses affluents. La nation algonquine a une longue tradition d'accueil dont a bénéficié de nombreuses nations dans ce magnifique territoire. The Council also respects and affirms the inherent and treaty rights of all Indigenous peoples across this land. The Council has and will continue to honor the commitments to self-determination and sovereignty made to Indigenous nations and peoples. Alors, bienvenue, Pijashik, welcome to the territory and welcome to the Council's annual public meeting. Miigwech, thank you. Merci.
Merci Elizabeth pour ce bel accueil. Un enregistrement de cette assemblée sera disponible dans les 2 langues officielles sur notre site web au cours des prochaines semaines. Si vous utilisez les médias sociaux, servez-vous du mot-clic Conseil des Arts 2026. If you're using social media, please use the hashtag Canada Council 2026. Je vais maintenant vous donner un aperçu de l'ordre du jour. Pour commencer, nous allons écouter la présidente du conseil d'administration, Cheryl Hickman. Ensuite, Michelle Chawla, directrice et chef de la direction, fera une allocution. Et une période de questions suivra. Nous avons un programme très chargé, alors commençons. J'invite maintenant Cheryl Hickman à prendre la parole.
Thank you, Aubrey. Bonjour and hello to everyone joining us today online and in person. Je suis ravie d'être parmi vous pour ma première assemblée publique annuelle à titre de présidente du Conseil des Arts du Canada. C'est un immense privilège de servir les artistes, les organismes artistiques et l'ensemble de la communauté. D'abord comme membre du conseil d'administration depuis 2017, puis comme présidente depuis l'an dernier. I'm especially proud to be the first chair of the Canada Council from Atlantic Canada. My experience living in Newfoundland and Labrador, the Big Land, have had an important influence on my work as an artist and arts administrator. I have dedicated my life to supporting and celebrating the arts, and I am committed to bringing my passion, knowledge, and long experience in this sector to my work as chair of Canada Council's board. For those of you who may not be aware, the board's role is to provide strategic direction, governance, and oversight of the council's work. We support the work led by Michelle Chawla, the Canada Council's senior management and staff, to ensure that Canadians from coast to coast to coast have access to rich and diverse artistic offerings. In the same spirit, and to uphold the Council's mandate as a national funder, the board recognizes the importance of understanding and connecting with arts communities across the country. This is why we hold one board meeting each year in a different province or territory. Last year, we were in Alberta, and in a few months' time, we will be gathering in beautiful Manitoba. These trips give us the opportunity to connect and engage with arts communities in all parts of the country. As you may know, the Canada Council is developing its next strategic plan, which will be released later this year. On behalf of the board, I'm incredibly excited about the Council's vision for the next 5 years, a vision that is grounded in what we have heard from the arts community in recent months and over the last few years. I want to assure you that under the board's stewardship, the Canada Council will remain a steadfast support and champion for the arts. At the same time, we will continue to evolve and grow so that we can strengthen our leadership. We are committed to ensuring that you are able to continue doing what you do best, creating and sharing artistic works that unite us, inspire us, and fill us with hope. I would like to offer my heartfelt thanks to the board for their exceptional work. Je tiens également à remercier les membres du personnel du Conseil des Arts du Canada. Chaque jour, la passion, le soin et le dévouement dont vous faites preuve dans votre travail m'inspirent. Enfin, je souhaite exprimer toute ma gratitude à Michelle Chawla pour son travail acharné et son engagement en tant que directrice et chef de la direction du Conseil des Arts du Canada. Je parle au nom du Conseil d'administration lorsque j'affirme à quel point nous apprécions et soutenons son leadership. Sur ce, je cède maintenant la parole à Michel pour son allocution.
Merci beaucoup, Cheryl, et merci d'être là aujourd'hui. Donc, chaque année, j'ai vraiment hâte à l'Assemblée publique annuelle. Pour moi, c'est toujours un moment fort dans l'année et une belle occasion pour le Conseil des arts de se réunir avec toute la communauté artistique. Donc, comme plusieurs d'entre vous le savent, le plan stratégique du Conseil des arts arrive à sa fin. Donc, au cours des 5 dernières années, nous avons octroyé presque 2 milliards de dollars en subventions, en prix, en paiement à des artistes, autrices et auteurs, travailleurs et travailleuses des arts et organismes artistiques. Ça touche toutes les disciplines dans des milliers de communautés. En bref, on parle de retombées exceptionnelles pour les gens aux 4 coins du pays. Conseil des arts offre un soutien considérable, constant et efficace au secteur dans les moments où il en avait besoin. Comme j'ai mentionné à plusieurs occasions, près de 90% du financement que nous recevons du gouvernement est directement injecté dans les arts. J'aimerais souligner quelques réussites majeures cette année. Last fall marked a major milestone for the Canada Council with the launch of our new grant application portal. This is the most significant technological transformation the Canada Council has undertaken in its history, and it was a significant step in modernizing our systems and improving how we serve you. As with any systems modernization of this scale and scope, this transition has come with some growing pains. And I want to sincerely thank you for that, your patience and your feedback. We're listening, and we are committed to working with you to make improvements so that we can better serve you. Over the course of the last year, the Canada Council also championed the cultural, social, and economic impacts of the arts at every opportunity with decision makers, business leaders, and the public. To strengthen our evidence, we commissioned important research by the Canadian Chamber of Commerce that for the first time measured the full economic contributions of arts and culture, totaling $131 billion in 2026. I encourage you to read this report, which is aptly named Artworks. Importantly, you came together to advocate for the public value of the arts, and thank you for that. Your advocacy made a difference. It helped ensure that the Canada Council did not face cuts in Budget 2025. In fact, the government also announced that it would invest an additional $6 million in the Canada Council over the next 3 years. This is far from what the sector needs, but we thank the government for this sign of support. When the budget passes in Parliament, every new dollar will go directly to the sector. This is in keeping with our priority of delivering as much support to the arts as possible. Nevertheless, our budget is still decreasing in the year ahead because of a previous round of government reductions. We now have to operate with close to $10 million less per year. And that is why it is essential that we continue delivering the message that public investment in the arts needs to align with the cultural, social, and economic impacts the arts have on Canadian society and around the world. The arts play a critical role in every aspect of our lives. They tell our stories as Canadians, they contribute to our unity, civic engagement, and sovereignty. They improve our mental and physical well-being, and they generate economic vitality all at the same time. And that combination of creativity, connection, and impact is exactly what we all need more of right now. And that's why all of us at the Canada Council work tirelessly to fulfill our mandate and champion the importance and impacts of the arts. I now want to look ahead to the next 5 years and the Canada Council's upcoming strategic plan. It will be grounded in what we've heard from the arts community over the last few years, as well as the current context. And with respect to this context, I first want to acknowledge the broader realities that we are all navigating. Our world is changing quickly. Global systems of trade, politics, and security are shifting. conflicts are increasing and democratic values are under pressure. And here at home, in a context of growing economic instability, our unity and sovereignty is also under strain. Polarization is on the rise, and AI is reshaping our lives. All of these forces heighten the challenges facing the arts sector, and I know many of you feel these pressures every day, and I do as well. It's important that we recognize the challenges we are facing, but at the same time, there are many opportunities for the arts right now. You show the best of Canada to the country and the world, our creativity, our diverse identities, and our values. Over the past few years, the Canada Council has been engaging consistently and listening closely to the arts community. And through this engagement, a number of priorities have emerged. We heard you articulate the importance of strengthening the financial stability of arts organizations, artists, and arts workers, of deepening collaborations within the sector and beyond, of developing new markets at home and abroad, of preparing the next generation of arts leaders, and of adapting to technological transformation. We heard your desire to better understand, adapt, and innovate in response to shifting audience behaviors, to reach new publics, and to deepen relationships with communities and contribute to their well-being. And we heard you tell us that we all need to keep championing the arts at all levels of government and across sectors, that we need to tell compelling stories about the arts' contributions, and that we need to share and connect more work across Canada and internationally to deepen our connections to each other and show the world who we are. Donc, en regardant vers l'avenir, le prochain plan stratégique du Conseil des arts aidera le secteur à saisir les occasions qui se présentent. Le plan établira notre vision, une vision claire et axée sur le type de soutien et de leadership que vous avez demandé. Il sera aussi flexible pour s'adapter rapidement à un contexte qui évolue vite et demeure imprévisible. Nous comptons réaffirmer notre rôle en tant que défenseur et partenaire des arts, en tant que transmetteur de connaissances au Canada comme sur la scène internationale. Nous devons également continuer d'entretenir un dialogue avec la communauté artistique partout au pays. Les mots-clés, écouter, échanger et collaborer. Et je m'engage à communiquer avec vous, la communauté artistique, tout au long de la mise en œuvre du plan stratégique et à veiller à ce que le Conseil continue à jouer pleinement son rôle à vos côtés. Je suis honorée de travailler dans les arts en ce moment parce que ce domaine offre quelque chose dont le Canada et le monde entier ont absolument besoin maintenant. Les arts inspirent et donnent de l'espoir. Face aux divisions qui fragilisent nos liens, ils créent des occasions de nous retrouver, contribuent à bâtir des communautés et renforcent le sentiment d'appartenance, en plus d'être un vecteur économique puissant. Les arts sont l'une des plus importantes ressources au pays et l'un de ses leviers de changement les plus puissants. Donc, le Conseil des arts continuera d'évoluer main en main avec vous pour tracer la voie pour l'avenir du secteur. Et ensemble, grâce au pouvoir des arts, de nous unir, de façonner, nous renforcer, nous enrichir, nous inspirer, nous pouvons ensemble contribuer à créer un futur meilleur pour les arts et le reste du monde. Donc, avant de terminer, je veux remercier le personnel du Conseil des arts pour son dévouement et son soutien à l'égard du milieu artistique du Canada. C'est vous qui rendez possible toutes nos réalisations. Je tiens également à remercier le Conseil d'administration pour son travail, son soutien essentiel et sans oublier Cheryl Hickman pour son dynamisme en tant que présidente. Et pour conclure, merci à vous tous, les artistes, les administrateurs du secteur et leaders artistiques, pour tout ce que vous accomplissez dans votre travail, vos communautés, pour la population canadienne et pour le monde entier. Donc, merci beaucoup. Donc, on arrive à la partie la plus amusante, qui sont la période de questions. Donc, j'aimerais inviter ma collègue Lisanne Johnson, directrice générale des programmes de subvention aux arts et des partenariats à se joindre ici sur la scène. Donc, merci Lisanne. Donc, on a jusqu'à environ une autre vingtaine de minutes pour la période de questions. Et pour répondre au maximum de questions, on essaie de demander de les garder assez courtes. If you have specific questions about grant applications or programs or the portal, we have many Canada Council employees who are here and will be more than happy to answer any questions following the event. So we will begin with some questions that were submitted to us in advance by email. So I really want to take a moment to thank everyone who took the time to send us questions. Of course, we can't answer all of them, but we'll start by responding to 3 questions that reflect common themes. So a lot of the questions reflect the 3 that we'll be addressing here, and then we'll open it up here in the room to questions. So I'm going to kick it off by asking Aubrey to read out the first pre-submitted question, please.
The first question was sent to us by Heather Ferguson from British Columbia, and she writes, I would like to know how we are making ourselves useful as Canada tries to pivot to new markets. It just seems to me that if we can demonstrate, as I believe we can, that the export of our music and culture is directly helping our trade commissions and business people find and secure new markets, then we play our part. But we also make a pretty strong case for future arts funding.
That's an excellent question. Thank you so much, Heather. I guess I'm looking at you, Heather, online. I couldn't agree more. So the arts contribute to international relationships, international engagement, market development. It is a significant strategic asset, and we at the Canada Council are very, very committed to reinforcing that type of support. Just as a concrete example, I just recently participated in the Team Canada trade mission to Mexico, and it's evident that the world really wants to see more of Canada, and we want to engage in reciprocity to be able to welcome the world here. So for us, it's a really significant priority, which is how do we help Canadian arts reach audiences and markets worldwide and engage in all of our aspirations around international engagement. We have invested significantly in international touring, co-productions, residencies, market development, and that will absolutely continue to be a major priority in our next strategic plan. So thank you so much for that question. Back to you, Aubrey.
La prochaine question vient de Guylaine Cliche du Québec. J'aimerais savoir si des coupes budgétaires affectant les programmes du Conseil sont à craindre.
Vraiment une question importante qu'on a reçu beaucoup de questions à ce sujet. Donc, je vais inviter ma collègue Lisanne d'y répondre.
Merci. Et bonjour, Madame Cliché. Merci pour la question. Je vais reprendre un peu ce que Michel a expliqué dans son discours. Heureusement, le Conseil des arts n'a pas été touché par les compressions qui étaient annoncées dans le budget fédéral de 2025. Cependant, c'est important de comprendre que notre budget demeure inférieur en raison de compressions antérieures, et ce qui représente environ 10 millions de dollars de moins par année. Bien sûr, minimiser les impacts sur le milieu artistique, ça c'est une priorité pour le Conseil. Nous reconnaissons les nombreux défis que le secteur traverse actuellement. Dans le cadre du budget fédéral 2025, comme Michel a mentionné, nous avons un investissement additionnel de 6 millions de dollars sur 3 ans. Alors, ça veut dire 2 millions de dollars par année. Une fois le budget adopté, le Conseil versera ces nouveaux fonds rapidement au secteur avec une priorité de soutenir les activités de circulation et tournée. Cela dit, 2 millions par année, c'est loin de répondre aux besoins du secteur. Alors, il est important, je vous encourage, le milieu des arts de faire front commun, transmettre un message clair que les arts comptent et un investissement public solide, durable et essentiel. Merci.
Merci beaucoup. Merci, Lisanne. Donc, on va passer à la troisième question en ligne, puis après ça, à la pièce.
So this question we received from Christian Paré in Ontario. As you prepare the next strategic plan in a rapidly changing environment, you've spoken about the importance of both a clear, shared vision and the flexibility to adapt. How is the Council thinking about holding those two together in a way that continues to build trust and a sense of coherence for the arts community over the life of the next plan?
I think that's a great question for you, Cheryl.
Thank you, and thank you for your question, Christian. We're building our next strategic plan based on deep engagement with the arts community over the last few years. What we know and have heard very clearly is that the environment is changing really, really quickly. So the plan needs both clarity and flexibility to accommodate this new reality that we're all living in. The plan will set out a clear vision and directions to anchor our work over the next 5 years. At the same time, we will develop and share priority actions which will be more specific than what's in the plan as the context evolves. And we will continue to engage deeply with the arts community throughout the life of the plan so that our priority actions are grounded and responsible and responsive to the reality of the arts community and the artists within it. Thank you, Michelle, and thank you, Christian, for that question.
That's great. Thank you. So now it's time for some questions in the room. So as a reminder, we want to try and get to as many questions as possible. So try and keep your questions concise, just so that we have more room. Raise your hand. Someone will, with a mic, will come to you. But just a note, if you don't get a chance to ask your question here, many of us are staying. We're going to be at the reception. We're wearing name tags, so you can absolutely reach out to any of our colleagues who will be here. So yes, we have, so people here have mics, so we're just going to make sure. There's also at the back of the room some hands, so we'll try and get to as many of you as possible.
Okay, hello, bonjour. My name is Émilie Jabouin. I'm a dance artist. And my question is to know if there's a plan to have a basic universal income for artists in Canada.
That's a great question. Okay, so I'm going to start by saying that for the Canada Council for the Arts, our mandate is to support the arts. And artists are a very, very big part of our mandate. So we will do everything we can to advocate for how do we ensure that the arts sector can move out of precarity into sustainability. Having said that, within our programs, we have a certain mandate. We provide grants and we can work with partnerships. So what we intend to do is work very closely with the entities that have responsibilities along with the Canada Council to support the arts and advocate for what are the needs of artists in this country? What does the precarity look like? What are the different systems that we can implement to try and advise and influence on that question? Really appreciate you raising this because it's definitely something that's very top of mind in many, many other conversations we'd be having. So thank you for that. I think there's... Yes. I see you. I'll just see how...
Hi there. I'm Lyle Donald. I'm from Edmonton. I'm with the Edmonton Traditional Métis Dancers. And our group has been together for 40 years. And we've got very little support from the Canada Council for the Arts. In fact, we haven't had funding from them since 2010. So we're going on 16 years now. And every time we apply, people don't get back to us on time, and we missed out on the deadlines that are coming up. And I mean, it's great that you recognize the territories that you're in. It all happens all around Canada here. They recognize the Indigenous territory. But what do you do for Indigenous people? Like, when you guys do your planning for programs, especially in the Indigenous programming, do you guys do consultations with the community? Where do you get your direction from? Do you guys just make it up yourself that you're going to put this program on, this is the way it's going to be? Or do you come out to the communities and listen to us and let us tell you what we need, because it's really frustrating going this long. For our group, the only way that we've made it is that we do a lot of showcases during the year. We do about 50 or 60 showcases. We get paid for it. A lot of my kids were students, and I gave them most of the money that we made for presentations that we were doing, and to help them out for school. But we get no help or support from the Canada Council for the Arts or the Alberta Foundation for the Arts. There's a fracture there somewhere, and it'd be nice to see if you guys can fix that, because especially living in Alberta, we probably get less money in Alberta from the Canada Council for the Arts than most of the other provinces that are around. And you guys did a presentation back in December, I think it was, in Alberta, and you guys heard from the people there, and it's really frustrating for Indigenous people, never mind the rest of the people that are in Alberta. There's something going on. Yeah, you hired 2 new people. I've tried to contact them. They don't get back to me either. So I'm really frustrated.
Okay, so first, thank you for being so open and frank about the challenges you're experiencing. And so I would like to apologize that you have not been receiving appropriate responses, or people aren't calling you back. So I really apologize for that. I think we're making efforts to improve the situation. Well, first of all, let me speak about Alberta. So there are efforts being made to try and concretely improve how we provide funding across the country, especially in Alberta, but also specifically to your question around Indigenous, how do we support Indigenous artists on your own terms? And maybe I'll ask Lisanne to speak more specifically about our granting programs and the question of consultation, because you raise really, really important points, and I appreciate that. Over to you, Lisanne.
I'll just say briefly, thank you for the feedback. Maybe come see me after we wrap up, and I can put you in touch with the right people. Our Creating, Knowing and Sharing of the Arts and Culture First Nations, Inuit and Métis Peoples program is Indigenous-led. It was Indigenous designed, and it did take into consideration input from many First Nations, Inuit and Métis stakeholders. The team is very active in terms of its outreach across the country, coast to coast to coast. We do marry that kind of outreach and engagement that's on the ground with more formal methods of consultation. And I'll point perhaps to a really fantastic report that is available on our research website that was conducted by an Indigenous research firm by the name of Archipel. And it really did look quite deeply with a lot of consultation around what were the barriers what were the needs, but also what were the barriers around accessing funding at the Canada Council. There's some really fantastic information that came to us from that report. We do use it. And I'll give you an example of some of the kind of practical impacts that report had. One of the recommendations was that that people who selected a First Nations, Inuit, and Métis applicant profile should not only have access to the Creating, Knowing, and Sharing program, they should also have access to all of the other funding programs without having to go and create another profile. And we have made that change with the opening of our new applicant portal. So I'd say come find me afterwards, because there are opportunities to apply not just through Creating, Knowing, and Sharing, but there are probably other opportunities for you to apply to our other programs. So really happy to talk you through that. And to echo Michelle, really sorry again if you haven't gotten a response. I will say with our opening of the portal has also come a whole new case management system. It is something that we are trying to improve. It is when Michelle says that this new systems transformation is a major transformation, it is a major transformation, not just for the community, but also for our own internal staff. We are still learning our own system, and we are getting better. It will take us time to really work out some of the kinks, but really appreciate the feedback.
Can I also quickly add that it's very important to the council and to the board that we visit people where they are in community. So when we went to Edmonton and Calgary last year, it was wonderful to see so many artists and organizations come and meet us and talk with us and express their problems and their hopes, and we'll continue to do that as we visit provinces coast to coast to coast. So I'm sorry we clearly missed you there, but as Lisanne and Michelle said, we look forward to continuing the conversation, and thank you for the question.
Hi, thank you. My name is John Geddes. I'm a writer. I've heard some publishers and writers complain that research-intensive nonfiction falls between the cracks sometimes. And if I get this correctly, they're saying that scholarly nonfiction is well supported by the academic grants and granting councils. Memoirs and other nonfiction grounded in personal experience is well supported by the Canada Council, but other kinds of research-intensive nonfiction doesn't get support. Do you agree there's a problem there? And if so, might it be addressed in your new strategy?
Yeah, I can take that question. It's not a new question, and what I will share is that literary nonfiction, including nonfiction that is takes time to develop and to write, is eligible at the Canada Council. We have had a number of meetings with various stakeholders on this, and we have gone back to kind of look, okay, what applications are we receiving? Have we said they're eligible? Are we supporting them? It is eligible. It is supported. We have some really good examples. I would say that I think what we have seen is that the support for those writers who often used to get support through, and advances perhaps through magazines or through various publishers, a lot of that, I think there's a gap there where the support for that research period and that writing period before you even get to being able to publish, that landscape has really changed and it's impacted writers. I would say, yes, you are absolutely eligible to apply to our artistic creation is the component that I would recommend, and it does support research, creation, writing. It supports authors. Yes, literary nonfiction is eligible, but it is a very competitive and oversubscribed program. So part of, I think, what people are experiencing is just a low success rate, but it's eligible, we support it, please do apply.
So we're at our last question, and I see we have lots of time. We have lots of time to have questions after, so if we didn't get to you in the audience, we will be able to exchange during the reception. So over to you, please.
Oh, wow, the lights. Okay. Hi, my name is Shadzia Kikonjo. I come from two Burundian refugees who survived the Rwandan genocide during the 90s. I think also these past couple of years, especially with what has happened and is happening in Gaza, in the West Bank, in Sudan, in Congo, a lot of young people. Yeah, a lot of young people my age. I'm 96, baby millennial, but also the people that I work with who are Gen Z artists are reevaluating their relationship with Canada, their relationship with the governmental system, the identity that Canada projects itself to the world, and how similar it is to what Israel is doing in Gaza and the West Bank. And yes, and reevaluating themselves as artists and asking the question of what is my art, what is the cost of creating art what is the cost that my art is right now being subjected to experiencing while I'm living on stolen land, while I'm participating in an identity that is colonial, violent. So yes, my question is to the Canada Council for the Arts. Are y'all evaluating, you're talking about these conflicts, and it's not just conflicts. As somebody who's here because of the West's involvement, I really wanted to know, are y'all reevaluating how you understand Canada? Are you reevaluating, are you asking the question, what art, like, how is our art suffering right now when we are not fully acknowledging, fully accepting the fact that this is, we stand on a lot of suffering right now. And as an actor who has traveled and performed at schools and seeing the inequity of Indigenous communities where you have to go and perform, where there's no heat and no water, and these children having to sit down and in their winter clothing. So my question is, I don't know if there was a question there, but as an artist that is reevaluating their identities, understanding the weight of having a Canadian passport, what is it that I'm doing that is either adding to this or rejecting it? And I'm wondering, what are y'all, is that something that you're thinking about?
Well, thank you for that question. I think what you're raising are what I call those profound human connection, what is our humanity, our creativity, the role of institutions like the Canada Council. And to answer very directly your question is yes, like we're obsessed with these questions because we constantly try and go back to what is the reason for the Canada Council. And if you look to the origins and the mandate, which are, based on colonial mindsets, so, trying to navigate what that means. You're a Crown Corporation in 2026, entrusted with public funding for the arts. Everything we do has to be rooted in that mandate of supporting arts, the the freedom of artists. So going back to your question, do we think about it? We think about it. And what we are trying to see is how through the systems that we have, can we support artists on your terms? So to protect freedom of expression, to protect the opportunities for artists to explore those questions on your terms. So it's not the Canada Council providing edicts or statements that direct an artist or play a role of instrumentalization, but more around supporting that capacity to ask those questions. And to me, that's what artists do. And the role of an institution like Canada Council is to be able to support those aspirations and those visions and values on your terms. That is a very brief question, answer in the context of this room, but I would love to pursue that conversation after this meeting because you asked like exactly the questions I think that every human being should be asking themselves every day. So really appreciate, and I actually appreciate that you were ending the Q&A with that question because I think you've left a big, profound impact on, I think, this room and the people virtually to continue that conversation. So thank you for taking the time, and you were very articulate, so I really appreciate that. Thank you. Okay. Wow. These are really, really important moments for the Canada Council to be in connection with the community that we serve. So thank you for all of your time. This officially concludes the question and answer period. Again, I'm going to repeat it. If we didn't get a chance to answer your questions, or if you'd like to pursue the conversations, please join us at the reception. We're a big group of Canada Council employees are here, as well as board members, to answer them. So this concludes our 2026 annual public meeting. Thank you so much for joining us. Ceci met fin à notre Assemblée publique annuelle et merci encore d'être parmi nous. Merci.
ba, ba.